How are you? Welcome back. Just breezing through the day. Dow picked up about 400 points today. All the losses from yesterday and then some. Bitcoin still hanging in a range, and we are hanging in there on this Woman Wednesday with a whopper of a lineup of guests, including Mindie Barnett, who joins us right now. She's the host of the Race for the Ring podcast. She's an author and keynote speaker. And Frank Morano, I believe, joins us also with Mindie. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hello there, Mindie. Hey, John.
Hey, I'm good.
All right. So, Mindie, I want to talk about the Race for the Ring podcast in a bit, but you're also, it seems like the whole beauty industry is on its head right now. No one can get their roots done. No one can get a haircut. No one can get their nails done. What do you think people are, what does that whole industry look like going forward?
Well, slowly but surely things are opening up, John. You know, in Georgia, they were the first state to open, and they're basically being used as a guide for a lot of other states and other towns that are kind of putting plans in place. But in the Northeast, Connecticut was supposed to open today, in fact, the barbershops and the hair cutteries and things of that nature. But it's been pushed back, I believe, to June 1st. So that's kind of a fork in the plan, but it'll be open sooner than later. In New Jersey, we still, that's where I'm based right now, we still don't have word from the governor in terms of when the beauty industries are going to open. But I can tell you that the salons I represent, both in New York City and New Jersey, are working like around the clock to make sure that their establishments are safeguarded. We're going to be seeing basically 50% capacity in many cases, extra sanitation precautions being taken. Basically, clients are going to be asked to come in New Jersey, where they can leave their belongings in a vehicle, to only come in with a form of payment and maybe their cell phone. Women aren't going to be able to be permitted to bring in their bags. Another salon I work with, an amazing salon, Julian Farrell Restore Salon and Spa in Manhattan. And they obviously have a lot of their clientele that come in walking and so forth, taking cabs. So they are going to be asked, the women that have handbags, to be putting them in. They're going to be given like a plastic bag to put the bags in. And then they have like sanitation devices that they've purchased. They're going to be, sanitizing all of the brushes, not just the hair tools and things like that. And there's a lot of different steps that are going to be taken so that first and foremost, the clients are going to be safe. The staff is going to be safe as can be. And they're going to be working at, kind of like a 50% capacity too, just kind of spacing everybody out. On the aesthetic medicine side, as we all need our Botox and our fillers, at least some of us, right? They're opening up in New Jersey. They open next week. In some other states like Pennsylvania, they opened last week. They're open for elective surgery and in-office procedures like fillers and Botox. And those doctors that I've spoken with, and some of them I work with, they're spacing it out so that they're only seeing one patient on the hour. So basically that avoids and eliminates, I should say, like the waiting room situation, where there's going to be, more than one person sitting and waiting for the doctor to be seen. And then they're going to be obviously, and then also on the salon side, everyone's going to be in masks, and they're going to have like shields over their face, the operators and the doctors, as well as masks, and doing just eyebrows and Botox for the most part, not so much things around the mouth on the salon side. And on the doctor's side, it kind of varies. So it's going to be different, but at least it's a step in the direction of, I don't want to say normal, but, everyday life again, right?
Well, Frankie, it sounds like you and I can get back to getting our lip injections soon.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I do my lips. Everybody thinks I do. I do other things, though. I have to tell. I can't tell. I've gotten Botox and that.
It sounds crazy that come next week, people are going to be able to get lip injections and Botox, but not haircuts. I mean,
that's true.
It would strike me as now. I do want to ask you, Mindie. We saw in Texas that Dallas salon owner that opened in contrast to what the state executive order was at the time. Mm-hmm. In Brooklyn yesterday, somebody paid a barbershop to open briefly. I think he paid him $500 to open briefly as part of this publicity stunt. Are you seeing any of your clients say that they're going to go forward with an opening, even if the state is not letting them open yet?
No, my clients are all abiding by the law. And I really think personally, I think that that's the right way to go about it. I think if we all sort of make our own plans and make our own rules, then what's the point of having authority? I will say this though, it's made national headlines. There's a gym that's not that far away from where I'm sitting right now that opened up.
Belmore.
Opened up against the governor's orders and is now facing massive fines and maybe shut down permanently. They're talking about. I was listening to on the news. So I mean, and we're all sort of figuring this out. I'm certainly not a doctor and I'm not an authority, but I will say as a consumer and someone that cares about the well-being of society, I mean, whether you agree with the authorities or not, we need to listen to them and we need to follow the rules, because if one person doesn't, then another person's not going to. And eventually, we're all going to sort of be like, it's a free for all and we're all going to be end up very sick. And
right.
I think, whether you think they're strict or not,
I hear you, Mindy, but I'm sure a lot of your clients are having a very difficult time paying their bills right now. And a lot of them have been forced to lay off workers. How do you tell someone who's been forced through no fault of their own to shut down their own business, to lay off all their employees that can't pay their rent now? How do you tell them, tough, this is what the governor says, even though the legislature hasn't voted on it, you're out of luck? I mean, I have a lot of empathy for a lot of these businesses.
I do too. I mean, I definitely don't want to come off that I don't. I myself am suffering a little bit, to say the least.
I can imagine.
PR is like one of the first things that people need the most when these things happen, but they can't afford it. So I totally am in the same boat and fully understand. But I just think, I don't know. I mean, I think that if we abide by the rules and they're eventually going to open, right? Hopefully sooner than later, then we're going to be in a stronger position than they would be if everyone's sort of just deciding to do their own thing. And it's not fair. So if one of them opens, then it's not fair to the other doctors or the other businesses that are abiding by the rules. That's just how I feel. I mean, it's a personal decision.
All right.
But, right?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Hey, Mindy, just in our last minute here, you also host the Race for the Ring podcast.
Yeah.
Tell us what women are doing now to try to keep their dating lives alive, or at least what you're hearing.
Okay, so interesting. So since we last chatted about my pod, I've done a little more research and I've come to find through psychologists and other interviews that are kind of in it to win it, so to speak, that there's a lot of connections going on out there in cyberland. There's a lot of virtual dating taking place, which eventually might lead to a social distancing date that you just meet in person and see if there is indeed a real connection. But it's weeding out the hookups from the relationships, which is actually a cool thing for anybody who's looking for a relationship and not just to kind of like hop around, myself included in that. So people are really finding real connections. Because the thing is, right, John and Frank, if you're going to spend all this time online with somebody talking about mundane things like what did you eat for dinner and what did you do today and
blah blah blah.
You obviously have a vested interest in the person, and like the end game isn't necessarily going to getting in bed with them anytime.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, well, we're gonna have to leave it there when we get to the bedtime talk. But we're out of time. We got to have you back, Mindy. Hopefully, Mindy's gonna start joining us. Hopefully, she's going to start joining us every Wednesday, and we're going to be joining you every day as we do live, and we'll be back right after this.